That's right, it is holiday time and many of us are going to have some downtime to just relax and catch up on a good book. Or if you're not sure what gift to give a family member or a friend, we've got some great ideas for you. We're joined this morning by book lover, writer and publisher Colleen Higgs to share some of her recommended top festive reads to feast on this holiday season. Colleen, so good to have you in studio.
Thanks.
Now, I'm a big believer on reading. I really love books. So what's your recommendation for the festive season?
Well, I was only allowed to choose a few, so I've got many other recommendations, but the ones that I'm going to talk about today, the first one is Now I See You by Priscilla Holmes. Okay. I have to confess I actually published this book, but it's a wonderful read. It's unputdownable. It's a crime fiction thriller. It's got a great woman detective, Thabisa Tshwane. She's a very feisty, powerful character, and by the time you've finished reading it, you're actually hoping that Priscilla Holmes, the author, has written another one.
I love it.
And it's set in the Eastern Cape, so it's quite an unusual setting for, usually they're in the big cities.
So it's quite a page turner.
Yeah, totally.
Awesome. What's your next one?
The next one is Darryl Bristow Bovey's One Midlife Crisis and a Speedo. Yeah. This would be a great book for, for anyone, probably most people sort of getting around 40 and a bit older. Okay. It's hilarious and it's also very moving. So people that don't normally read would absolutely love this, as well as people who do read. So it's kind of one of those books that it would be a great stocking filler.
Also for any of us who are still yet to get to that point in our lives, what we could possibly expect, right?
Yeah, but it's absolutely, I mean, if I had time, I would read you little snippets, but it's laugh out loud. Okay. And it's
heartfelt.
Yeah, and it's moving and introspective.
I love that.
It's a wonderful book.
Wonderful. What's our next book?
I don't have a copy of the next book because it's actually also another book I've published by a writer called Futhi Nchingila. Okay. It's called Do Not Go Gentle. Oh, wow. And it focuses a little bit more on the sort of tougher side of life. So, the festive season, it's all about having fun and all of that. But, there are also people who have a tougher time in life. So there's a lovely young woman who's the main character, and I just think that it's a book that appeals to people who want something a little bit more serious. Okay. Yeah, but it's a feel better book. Okay. So it's not
wonderful. And then your fourth book, Let Me Be Frank with You.
Let Me Be Frank with You is the fourth book by Richard Ford in the series. Okay. He was actually only going to write 3 about this character, Frank Bascombe. So in some ways, I wouldn't recommend that you read this book if you haven't read the others. I mean, it is a standalone, but you would get a lot more out of it if you had to read one of his other books. He's a wonderful writer, and I came across him first in the 80s, a long time ago. Frank is also a little bit like Darryl, not funny, but I mean, Richard Ford, but the character Frank, introspective and a very detailed sort of insight into somebody's inner world. And it's set around Christmas, and it's also Hurricane Sandy is sort of in the backdrop of that, the aftermath.
Awesome. And then we've got our last book, Bird's Eye. Yeah,
Bird's Eye, Moira Fisher, a Cape Town writer. It's her debut novel. It's also got a thriller-ish element. Two little boys, twins, go missing. That's the kind of setup of the story. So it'll keep you reading and wanting to find out what happens next and what happens to them and how that impacts on the...
If one was thinking of looking for a Christmas gift for somebody else, what would you focus on? Would you focus on getting a book based on a genre, on a popular author, or on a bestseller? What would you suggest?
Well, I think you should think about the person, and booksellers are very good at giving advice. So I'm not answering your question in a sense the way you wanted me to answer it, but I think that get advice from a bookseller and also think about the person, what they like. So, yeah, I would never really go for bestsellers, but, if the person's that kind of a reader, then that's probably...
Well, thank you so much, Colleen. You've already given us so much to just, get our teeth into. Books are an amazing gift. It is the gift that just keeps on giving. So thank you so much for joining us this morning on our Feel Good Breakfast Show. This was Colleen Higgs, writer and publisher as well, and book lover. Now, if you are into crafty gifts, we've also got some great ideas on what you could get up to this festive season.